Welcome to Beyond the Schoolhouse, where we explore the best of public, private, homeschool, and alternative education. I'm Sarah McCubbin, and today we are tackling a topic every family faces, keeping kids safe online. My guest is Michelle Mosey, head of homeschooling at HackersJack, and an Australian Navy veteran and cybersecurity professional with HackersJack. We get practical about when to start teaching online safety, how to talk to young kids without scaring them, what chatbot friends are, and why digital footprints matter for college and careers. We also share what to do if something goes wrong and how short, age appropriate lessons can build confidence instead of fear. Let's get started. All right. Well, I am so excited to have Michelle from HackersJack joining me today to talk about all the things related to keeping our kids safe online, which I have 9 kids. So this has been a struggle or a challenge for a lot of years. And Michelle, you have tons of experience in this area. So why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do?
Thanks so much, Sarah. It's great to be here with you today and be able to reach your audience. Yes, Michelle Mosey, I'm with HackersJack, but I have a long career in cybersecurity and intelligence. I am an Australian Navy veteran. I served with the Royal Australian Navy for 12 years and then went into government working for numerous intelligence agencies and focusing on security and cybersecurity. I've done quite a bit of work in the cybersecurity space, working with transitioning veterans, both in Australia and the US, and worked with Australian companies looking to work into the US with other US companies. And of course, throughout my journey, um, I got involved in training and education, and certainly one thing that I am incredibly passionate about is educating kids around cyber safety and security. I've been on the end of seeing, the number of jobs that are available and that are growing through cybersecurity and technology. But there's also, it's a double edged sword. So the other
Mhm.
side of the sword is actually a lot of the dangers that come and are introduced to our kids, often without the parents' knowledge. And
Yes.
that's something that I'm really, really passionate about. So it's great to be able to, just talk to you about some of the questions you have, some of the challenges that you have, and I'm certainly sure some of the challenges that your listeners are facing as well.
Absolutely. I think that when people become parents, they think that our job, we think that our job is to like keep feed them, clothe them, grow them up, teach them to be responsible adults. And I don't think a lot of us are really thinking about the fact of like, we know about like stranger danger, like keeping them safe from like people out that you can see in the world. But like the whole idea of the internet and keeping them safe I always I learned it by mistake. So, like, you learn it when you realize you have a problem very often. So, I think it's so important for people to have the chance to think about it before there's a problem, hopefully. And if there has been a problem, how do you fix it? So, since you work in the space of educating families and kids about internet safety and about being responsible online. Let's start with like young children. Like, what do you think? What's the framework that parents should have in their mind for how they approach the internet, for how they approach doing things online? Because we're going to start with young kids and like kind of build up a process or whatever. What do you think parents should be thinking about? Like, is the internet all bad? It's better to just keep them all off? Or what do you think?
Look, I have spoken to lots and lots of parents about this, and lots of them say, well, my children, they have supervised time, or we don't let them on the internet at all. And I'm like, that's a good approach, but it's only going to last for so long because our lives now are so intertwined with the digital world in everything that we do, whether you're
Mhm.
talking about school, whether you are talking about doing your online banking, everything's so intertwined. whether you're doing research and things like that. And certainly my approach in speaking to parents is really about we teach kids to look both ways before they cross the road, before we even let them go out on the street.
Yes.
We teach them about riding their bikes. We teach them that whenever you get in a car, you've got to put your seatbelt on. And I
Mm,
really think about what what we should be teaching our kids when they're very young is to understand what's okay and what's not okay. One, to share online, and two, what to do if something happens and they might be embarrassed about it, but actually, who do I talk to? Who is it okay to talk
yeah.
to and tell? Because we are just seeing so many instances these days of small children, 5, even younger, and they have a supercomputer in their
Yeah.
pocket.
Yes.
And it's not as though you are giving them access to research all of this information and play Minecraft or
Yes.
do all of those things. What you're actually doing is you're opening the door for the whole world to have access to your child.
Mhm.
Now, as I said, like if they don't have internet access at all, that's great while you see them. But if they go to their friend's house who has a computer and they can get
Mhm.
on and they can do things, and eventually by the time they reach, 14, 15, 16 years old, they're going to need a device. So
That and they're
this
like, they got way more free time than you do, so that even if you think they don't have access,
that
they very well might. I mean,
they very
that was our experience. Like,
yeah,
I
they very well might. So this is about a precursor.
that's
Like
right.
train them, give them not only the knowledge, but the confidence as well
Yes.
that
Right.
they know how to, what's okay, what's not okay,
Yes.
who to share information with. And more importantly, they know how to protect themselves.
That's right.
And when I say protect themselves, it's about who they share information with or how to even just set a proper password.
Yeah, right. It's funny because one of my sons is 15 and I was listening to he and a friend in the car the other day, and they were in like one of those communication apps that like school groups use, like Remind or Band or something like that. And he keeps getting messages from some kind of bot it's a bot. He's sure of it. But here I am listening to these two, and I think these messages are probably not the best. And so hearing this conversation go back and forth, and he's like, "Don't worry, mom, I blocked them. I blocked them." You know what I mean? Like, and I'm still sorting that out with him, but it's like he was in a complete he's actually got a phone that's like completely locked down, and somehow this stuff is still happening. So he knows how to handle it. He's blocking it. We still need to have a bigger conversation, but again, we're paying for a phone that like doesn't have any bells and whistles, doesn't let him have access to the internet, doesn't let him have anything except controlled apps, and it's something is still getting through. So like the point being like in that case like just putting protection in place wouldn't be enough because something can always get through. And I
That's
think
very, very true, and it's about the digital footprint. Like, if
right.
he is going in and once they have the number, like, what you need to remember is you go onto websites and people see these things called cookies. Well,
Yes.
they're great for marketing, but they're also great for tracking you,
Okay.
and that's
Yes.
how bots get in contact with you, that's how people get your number, they sell
Yeah.
them to scammers, and it goes on
Yes.
and on.
It
So
goes on. Yeah, it's really so pervasive. So when what age do you think families really need to start teaching? Like, you don't wanna, like, scare your young kids like, "Oh, there's people out to get you." You know what I mean? Like, that's always the kind of the double-edged sword of this. Like, as parents, we wanna keep our kids safe, and we wanna, like, also let them have a childhood where they are protected and like we're looking out for them. At the same time, like we don't want them to be clueless, ignorant. We want them to be discerning. So, at what age do you think parents like start talking about this stuff with their kids, or how do they start talking about it?
well, I think the thing is, how old were your children when you started talking to them about strangers?
Right. Yeah. They
It's
were.
the same thing.
Yeah.
No 3, 4
Yeah.
years old,
Right.
they
Right. Right.
know who is in their circle then.
Right.
And I think it's kind of appropriate to sort of, start talking about it then and start talking to them about the platforms that they're on or the games
Mhm.
that they're actually playing, and helping them understand that if you feel uncomfortable, just come and get mummy, come and get
Mhm.
daddy.
Mhm.
And but it's about educating the parents in how to lock down the devices in a way
Mhm.
that is still safe, but knowing that if something does get through, that your
Mhm.
child can come to you and say, "Hey, this happened and I don't know why." The
Mhm.
last thing you want to do to them is have them hide it from you. Now, that always happens once they become a teenager, of course. But as a young child, you do want to be able to talk about the good
Yeah.
stuff. And I think it's about reinforcing the positives around the
Yeah.
fact that, hey, you know how to set a password. Hey, you know that it's only okay to share tell your name to mum and dad and aunties and uncles and things like that.
Right. Yeah. I think it's it's funny. I always like to say that it's so much easier to educate your kids about stuff before they actually need it. Like I find way less resistance from my kids if we start talk we'll use drinking alcohol, for example. Like wait till they're 21 to say like go don't go get drunk, right? You talk about that their entire childhood whenever the topic of alcohol comes up about how important it is that like people use it responsibly. Like I don't drink much, but if I do, I only do it at home. I never, ever have it somewhere else because I just don't want to have that, even the possibility of driving a vehicle with it. So, like, we have like things in our house that we've talked about for years before we needed that information. So, by the time they're like turning 21 or they're 18, 19, 20, when these things might come up, we've had those conversations for years. And so now it's not like there's no like resistance to it. There's no like now you're trying to control me. Now you're trying, there's no rebellion because
Mm.
this has been something they've been sharing thoughts on for years. So that's kind of how I look at this is wait a minute, how can we have some of these important conversations we, before the before the big dangers or before they know how to hide things or before they want to hide things? Or how can we do that in a way that builds
Well,
trust?
I think you're right, and just giving them that little flag. They
Yeah.
wouldn't give a complete stranger their phone number on the
Yeah.
street, and
No.
they wouldn't tell them where they lived, if they met
Yeah.
someone who they'd never met before
Right.
and give them that information. When they're on the internet, those people already have that information. So
Yes.
that's why they need to be careful and be aware and just sort of know when to, even if they get engaged in a conversation with someone, know when to say, hey, I'm not into this, back out, block. That's it.
Yeah. So when do you think, okay, so you start having these conversations young. People, when okay, you offer a software for, like, teaching and educating families, but before somebody looks for something like that, often there's, like, a trigger moment when they realize, like, they need it. So what are some of the common scenarios that you're seeing where people are like, "Oh, wait, I need to invest time, money, education in my kid actually becoming savvy about this problem or how to interact on the internet?" Because that's not something like I've homeschooled for 18 years. This has not been something where I'm like, every year I need to buy my kids math, science, language arts, and cybersecurity software. That last one has not been on the list.
Hmm.
So, what is the like trigger point for a lot of families where they're like, wake up, like, I need to do something?
Look, I think it comes in two forms, and I'll start with the parents first. It's the parents either seeing online news reporting about either hacks or cyberbullying
Mm,
or
mhm,
instances where teens are just, withdrawing. So I think
mhm,
there's a moment from the parent actually relating to some of the stories that they're reading or hearing
mhm.
about. The second point is, and then they relate it back to their teen or their
Yeah.
child and go, okay. And then I think a third instance, and this is where the child comes in, is that when the child actually has experienced bullying, online grooming, withdrawal from the family unit because of the amount of time that they're actually
Mm,
spending on the device, and they are actually seeking out friendships online, often with, kids, real
mhm,
people, AI
mhm.
chatbots.
Yeah.
And I think those are the kind of 2 instances, from a
Yeah.
parent and a child, and I think it's the withdrawal piece that they're
Mhm.
spending 5, 6, 7 hours, and we've seen statistics on that. You can read them,
Mhm.
whether they come from the US, Australia, the UK. There are so many kids, like around about 10 to 11-year-olds, are spending up to 6 hours a day online with
Mhm.
chatbot friends instead of actually being outside, playing, exercising their bodies and building real relationships with real kids.
Now, you keep saying a chatbot friend or chatbot. What is that? Like, define what a
Uh,
chatbot
s-
friend is. Like, so this is different than a real person who is like you and me talking. We're not chatbot friends here, right? Like,
no,
that's not
no,
what
we're
this is.
not.
Okay.
So a chatbot comes out of Chat GPT. So
Okay.
AI. We're talking
Okay.
about AI bots, and I think any of the parents out there, they probably would have read about AI. They may even use
Yeah.
it on X. They might use Grok, or they
Yeah.
might use
Right.
Chat GPT to actually help them write or answer a
Yeah.
question. I think anyone who's got a smartphone now, they immediately get an AI overview.
Yes.
So AI, you can actually, there are apps out there available, readily available on Apple iStore and the Google Play Store,
Mm.
where you can say, I want an AI friend.
Oh
And they
boy.
download the app and they tell the AI a little bit about themselves, and they
Oh
can
boy.
engage the AI in discussions. Now, that can go one of 2 ways. I think there was a case here actually just last month,
Hmm.
and a family has actually bought a legal case against OpenAI, who
Hmm.
owns GPT, because his AI friend actually encouraged him to commit suicide. And he did. And
Hmm.
he did. Now, that's, one really, really terrible example. But the fact is that there are a lot of kids out there spending hours and hours and hours talking to a chatbot, and some of the most recent data that actually was just released in Australia by the eSafety Commissioner. The eSafety Commissioner is somebody who oversees online security for children
Okay.
over the internet in
Hmm.
Australia. The majority of the chatbots were sexualized in terms
Oh
of
wow.
having sexual conversations with
Oh wow.
kids that normally wouldn't happen
Yeah.
between sort of 8 to 10-year-olds.
Oh
So
wow.
that's what a chat bot can do. There are
Okay.
plenty of apps out there that you can download and befriend.
Friends when you don't have a friend, which I feel like that's probably the gap that like people feel like it's filling is like, oh, I don't have a friend in real life, or I need somebody to talk to, or whatever. And okay, I don't know. I mean, I feel like I knew that this existed, but I really didn't know that this existed. I guess I didn't realize kids are talking to this. No
Yeah.
conversation with my kids. I don't think they are. I hear them talking to real people on their games, but I'm going to go have a conversation. So, all right. So families realize they have a problem, and maybe now would be a good time for you to tell us, like, what does Hackers Jack do? So then we can talk about like how families use that. So what does Hackers Jack do? Because that's why we're here to kind of like solve this problem. What do you do?
Sure. So HackersJack, it's an Australian company. It was born in Australia. We're now based out of the US. But HackersJack is really focused on cyber safety, digital literacy, cybersecurity. So that includes all of the things around bullying, grooming, sextortion, how to identify fakes. So AI
Okay.
fakes. And we also cover disinformation. We help educate kids about AI and
Okay.
also blockchain, which is going to become part and parcel of their lives as they grow up. But the whole company, whilst it sounds all very technical, but
Mhm.
a lot of the information in there is foundational for children, and I would say even some parents, to actually be able to safely navigate and safely protect themselves from being online. Everything from what your digital footprint is. So every time you go online, you are tracked. That is why you might be having a conversation in the kitchen and say, I want a new pair of red shoes. And then all of a sudden on your Facebook feed, you are getting adverts and commercials for red shoes. You
Okay.
are being tracked everywhere unless you take the steps to stop that tracking, turn it off, browse remotely, and even then, you still have to constantly check about it. So HackersJack is really focused around giving that education, empowering the students and giving them the confidence to operate in the digital space. Now, we have lessons from kinder all the way through to grade 12. We have well in excess of 1,300 lessons
Oh, wow.
across all of those platforms. And it's meant to be, because people's attention span these days, I get it. All of our lessons are 2 to 3 minutes long, reinforced with a couple of questions at the end to test the learning and then move through. So it's very much focused, as I said, on that education and empowerment. And the company itself was born out of the fact our founder, his children came home one day from school and they had been issued 2 iPads, and he was like, do you know how to use them? They're like, oh, yeah, we just get on the internet. And he's like, no, no. And he is a cybersecurity
Yeah.
professional. And from that, HackersJack was born.
Oh, that's funny. I'm totally reasonable. My kids have Chromebooks for school and they are locked down. Those puppies, you cannot, like the people at the school, I think are probably highly entertained at what the kids try to access or try to do because there's sometimes when my boys were in middle school, sometimes there was like conversations between the tech department and myself about like your son keeps trying to access this gaming website or things like that, or they'd call them into the office like when they couldn't block what they were doing and they're like, what are you doing that we can't block you, and they would have that conversation.
Kids are
So
smart and they will find a way.
they they are smart. Yes, in fact, my oldest is a software developer, and when he was when he was younger, we were investing in like whatever blocking software was available at the time. He's 23 now, so this was probably when he was like 10 that we started like trying to block him. Eventually, I mean, we were terrible. Like it didn't work. Like whatever we were buying, with our budget and with our money, we were trying. And he told us, he was like, every time you would try to block me, I was like, challenge accepted. How can I get around this? Like, he looked at it as like a challenge to see how he could break the software or how he'd get around it.
Hence why he's now a software developer.
He's a
I
software.
mean, like Sarah, what you've outlined is, I think, exactly
Yeah.
what parents need to think about. I've got antivirus and I've got, like
Yes.
software to stop the kids doing this.
Yes.
Think
Yep.
again, you are up against a digital native.
Yes, and they have way more free time than we do. You know what I mean? Like parents are trying to do the laundry and the dishes and homeschool the kids if you're doing that and trying to do all the things. Meanwhile, your kid has a few responsibilities and lots of free time to think about how they're going to get around your blocks, which and I like to say, like, we like to raise critical thinkers. We like to raise problem solvers. It's just very difficult when they're in our own house. And the problem is the software. We're trying to solve them, right? Like, that's a very challenging dichotomy there where we're trying to keep them safe, but also we're raising critical thinkers. And so HackersJack it's like a course platform, right? Like, I used it with my
It's
kids. So it's a grade level based, I guess you would
It is
say?
grade level. Yeah, it's grade level based. So it's a complete software package. You can go in, you can purchase it online. You will immediately get access to all of the lessons. It is grade based, kinder, all the way through to grade 12. So we've got kinder grade 1, then grade 2 and 3. We have elementary school, 4, 5, and 6. And then middle, 7 and 8, and then high school, 9 through 12.
Oh, so the maybe since I can't share it right here on screen or for people listening, maybe can you describe like what's the difference between like a kinder lesson? Because again, we don't want to like scare our little kids. Like what kind of topics might you share? It might be covered in there versus like something that's like all the way up in high school. Like what would be like the
Sure.
kind of the extreme difference?
So, kinder and grade 1, we want to engage them with stories. So,
Okay.
they are actually led on adventures
Okay.
by Captain Cyberchamp and his group of friends. So we have, Peter Panda, Daisy the dolphin, Mike the monkey, and they actually go on magical adventures. And through the adventures, the children learn about what is a password. They learn about the technology in itself. They talk about how to hunt and recognize patterns. So we're really delving into developing that critical thinking, getting them to employ some problem solving skills as well.
Mhm.
And all of our lessons have been built by child psychologists and educational experts and cybersecurity experts. And we've managed to develop over 44 different video lessons in the kinder to grade 1. So they enjoy it. It's actually like watching a cartoon. But the thing is, they're learning a lesson along the way. And then we have little worksheets at the end where they might need to color in the letters for a PC. So they're using sort of the dexterity, but it's still kind of fun for them along the
Yeah.
way. And then as you get up to grade 4, 5, and 6, we actually start to introduce elements around how to create a safe and secure password. We start talking to them about media. And media is a big thing in the news, in the media itself, about the validity of it, what side you come down on. How do we actually recognize misinformation, disinformation?
Mhm.
What should we look for? So again, it's embedding those critical thinking skills into, don't always look for media that constantly reinforces your current view. You actually need to look for something else to try and debunk it, and then using your brain and those critical thinking skills, determine where it sits within your own personal values, morals, and ethics. So that's some of the things there. We also start to introduce some of the, I guess, technical cybersecurity related things around malware. So, what's a malware? How does that get introduced? Like, you would have seen reports on the news about ransomware
Mhm.
or people's computers getting infected by a virus. Well, how does that happen? So, we talk to them about what it is, how it happens, how to protect against it. And then, as those lessons 4, 5, and 6, we start to build on the level of detail around phishing. Like, everyone's had the email from, I live in Virginia, so the Virginia Department of Transportation saying, "Oh, your e-tag is out of money. Click this
Of
link
course.
here." So we start
Yes.
to talk to them about phishing and the ways of delivery, whether that comes through SMS or email or um, some other way. And of course, cyberbullying is a big part of that. The trust level, about how do I know who I'm talking to? How do I build my
Mhm.
trust? And then as we get into grade 7, 8, and through high school, we actually really start to drill down into the digital footprint, because you and I were speaking before. And just because you've deleted a post or a text, too late.
Mhm.
It's on the
Mhm.
internet forever, because, somebody's either screenshot it, but regardless, it's in the cloud. Like, it is
Yeah.
there. That's why you need to be so, so careful about your digital footprint, because now lots of colleges and employers, they'll actually go back. This is the reason why they ask you for your social media handle or your
Mhm.
email or what accounts you have, because employers, they're actually going back and looking at posts. So building a really good digital footprint so
Mhm.
you can promote the good work and education, the things that you're learning about on there, as opposed to building a digital footprint that is literally full of either negative comments or other a post that you may have made when you were 15 that you may really not want a prospective employer to see at age 24. So yeah, we
Right.
really sort
Yeah.
of start to
Have
to
fun.
talk around, talk around that. And of course, for students who are interested in the technical pathway, we start to introduce some of the technical components that,
Mm.
I guess, expose them to the opportunities that are available working in cybersecurity. so
Mhm.
they can then take that knowledge and unit like credits into college if they so deem so.
Okay. Wow. So it's very well rounded and it's so the word that keeps coming to mind is like discerning. It teaches kids how to be discerning at their own developmental level so that they learn to trust themselves, that their own intuition about whether the experience they're having is safe, whether what they're doing is wise, whether it's going to benefit their future, is it going to affect other people negatively or positively? It's kind of like helping them. It's critical thinking, but it's also being able to look at what's happening on the internet and discern whether whether it's a healthy environment to be in or to
Absolutely,
yeah.
and if they feel uncomfortable, that's okay. Like,
Yeah.
if they feel uncomfortable, they need to recognize that
Yeah.
and then go and ask for help and do something different because I will tell you this, a lot of the times we see no one likes to be rude to
Yeah.
anyone, right?
No.
Like, they
Right.
won't just step out of a conversation
Yeah.
or say a
Yes.
rude comment, and quite often, the way I mean, I know we haven't really talked about this, but the way that, people target young children online is the children keep interacting with them because they don't want to seem rude.
Mhm. Mhm.
So there's instances when they, you know, pose as a friend and that might be on Discord or a gaming site or something
Mhm.
like that. And then the next minute, they're sharing really personal secrets and they're asking for something in return.
Mm. Mhm.
And that's how they hook. That's how they hook the children. And then that's becomes I guess almost like a level of blackmail that you
Mhm.
told me this or you shared this picture with me. And if you don't, send more pictures or send me
Mhm.
$20 or something, I'm going to show your parents and I'm going to show all your friends.
Yep.
So, that's
Yes.
that's the kinds of things that parents need to be aware of and don't kid yourself. Do not
Mhm.
kid yourself that this is not happening to your
No,
child.
it's actually happened to 2 of my sons, and thankfully we have a very open relationship, the and we've talked about this, and the one time it happened, I had literally been talking to my son, explaining this kind of danger pattern. He's a big guy and smart and whatever. And I explained this pattern, and it happened 2 weeks later. You know how kids can be listening, but also be doing something dumb at the same time. That was happening,
Mhm.
where he was listening, but also in the back office, he was doing something dumb. And anyway, that threat happened where it was whatever, we're going to expose you, we're going to tell you, we're going to send it to your friends, we're going to show it to your family, whatever. But because we'd had that conversation, obviously we didn't have Hackers Jack, but we'd had this conversation, he immediately was like, I need to talk to dad. I need to have a conversation. He called the police. That conversation again that happened before we needed it. He deferred back to that and he made a wise choice. And I mean, he's totally different now, but in that moment, you want your kids to trust you, even if they do something dumb, because kids do dumb stuff.
Yes.
I they do. They just really do. I think the other thing in this conversation that as a parent with lots of kids is I've realized is removing shame. Kids do dumb stuff. They just do. I mean, adults do dumb stuff too. But if there's a way when they do dumb stuff to remove shame from it and say hey, we all do dumb stuff. Come tell me if you're afraid or if you do something that you now you don't know what to do. It's always okay to tell me and I'm not going to make you feel bad, and
Absolutely.
that
Catch it early.
yeah.
Take the precautions that you
Yeah.
need to. And if
Yeah.
something does happen, because chances are, like it will with, cyberbullying, it's doubled
Yeah.
in 5 years. 60%
Yeah.
of kids have
Yeah.
been approached
So,
by,
yeah.
strangers. But then, no, we can catch it early. And there are things that you can do, not only talking to mum and dad, you can report it to the
Yeah.
police. The department, like CISA here in the US, has a really good cyber safety
Yeah.
program, like where they can react to things that have been going on in line if they are affecting you. So there are things that can be done, but
Yeah.
it'd be great, preemptive, precursor, give
Oh,
them the
yeah.
knowledge. So even if we can just slightly narrow the
Yes.
number of
Yes.
people that are getting impacted, that is a
Yeah.
good thing.
Well, it's like at every level. It's kind of like you educate before, you educate at every level that you can. So I love the one thing I love about the Hackers Jack courses is that they're, well, first of all, very preemptive, right? Like nothing bad has to happen to use them, right? They're designed to be just like, hey, you're going to learn a new nugget today. Like you said, the classes are like each thing is like 2 or 3 minutes. My kids were like, oh, I learned something, about how to talk to people. My one son is a very, very friendly kid. And so, like, he doesn't need to be taught how to make friends. He needs to be taught boundaries about how to make friends online because he wants to be
Mm.
friends with everybody. And so, like, every little lesson is like a little nugget that they can like feel good about.
And I think, look, even though we do talk about some pretty dangerous things that happen out on the internet, like for all of the parents out there listening, it is not dark and doom
No.
and gloom in the videos. They are fun. They are meant
Yeah.
to
Colorful. Yeah.
empower them, yeah, and make them feel good that
Yeah.
I know this now. I
Yeah.
know this and I can do something about it.
Yeah.
Or, gee, I didn't think about that. Now I'm going to pop that in here.
Yeah.
And that's how I'll operate moving forward. So,
Yeah.
I
It
mean,
is
they,
so
they have to
exciting.
be. They have to be spoken about. They absolutely have to, because otherwise we will just continue to see bad things happen to children on the internet. And that's definitely not what Hackers Jack wants.
No, no. So if people, okay, before, like, if people are like, okay, I know that this is a danger. I know, I've got 1 kid, 2 kids, 5 kids, whatever. I want to be proactive. I want to take action for my kid. Well, first of all, where can they go to learn more about what Hackers Jack offers? Where can they see it? What can they do? Like, so,
So we are in two spots. So we have a whole homeschool program
okay.
specifically built for homeschoolers, and you can just go to www.homeschooling.hackersjack.com, and there you will see examples of videos, the overview of the curriculum. You can even if you click on the buy now, it will actually take you through so you can see
Mm,
the price ranges. And that is without, you don't have to put any of your information in to see the prices. We're very upfront with that. Like, so you can do that. There's a contact button on there. And of course, if you want to reach out to me, my email is just Michelle, Michelle Mosey, Mosey at hackersjack.com, and I would be happy to talk to you. For any parents out there where your child is actually going to a school, we actually have a full school program as well, and that is just hackersjack.com.
okay. And so you do have schools that use this as well. You have
Yes,
schools
yes.
and homeschool parents that are using this.
We have a number of schools in Australia, in New Zealand, New York State, Oklahoma, Hawaii. So, yes,
Wow.
there are schools out there because, schools before, a lot of this responsibility was put on the gym teacher or the science teacher.
Yes.
But there are multiple states now that have actually put regulations and requirements in place that children need to be taught cyber safety and digital literacy. So this
Mm.
is actually becoming, before Sarah, when you said, well, I know I
Yeah.
have to buy science, maths, English,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's actually becoming part of the teaching requirement in lots of US states at the moment.
Okay.
So we have a couple of different packages. For example, if you lived in New York State, you could just purchase the New York State program,
Okay.
which teachers directly to their teaching requirements.
Oh,
But
nice.
if you really want to get your children exposed to the wide range around AI deepfakes, what is fake news,
Yeah.
misinformation, all of that, that's the broader package. And look, upfront, like the package is inexpensive.
Mhm.
Inexpensive. I think you can get around 3 children onto the platform for less than $200.
Yeah. Which, when you consider like the cost of one mistake and how devastating it is for somebody's life. My children are some of them are adults now, and they're having like, "Oh, I have a background check run so I can go volunteer for this organization," or my son just enlisted in the military and he had to have all kinds of background checks because he'll have a security clearance. And they didn't realize how important it was that they had a clean background check until
Yes.
now.
As someone who held a security clearance for almost 30 years, yeah.
Yeah, like, I was like, "It's good to be." We were foster parents. They loved us because we are super boring. We have 0 anything, back there, like, we're boring, and they love that. But you don't realize how important that is until you need it. So, I think, like, the cost is, like, so nominal when you consider, like, how expensive it is once you goof up. You know what I mean?
Well,
So
yes, absolutely. And considering that, you probably get access with 3 kids to 600 lessons. And Sarah, we should tell your readers that you have a discount code. 10-minute 10 will get you 10% off the price if you mention that after listening to this podcast with Sarah and I.
So then I'll put all of this in the show notes everywhere. So if people are like, what was that? I'll just put it all in there so people can go grab it, check it out. If you have like one piece of advice before we go, like if you have one piece of advice for parents who are just like kind of, we talked about all the different things. How does somebody kind of center their mind, or like one piece of advice for somebody who's like wanting to make a change in their family or take action or whatever? What is your thought? Like someone?
I think my thought is as a parent, you want to be able to protect and educate kids. And I think it is a flip of the mind about going from the physical to the digital. It's just
Mm,
one more part. Like, get out
mm,
ahead of it where you can
mm.
and, give them that empowerment, give them that education, give them that confidence that you do in their physical lives, give it to them in their digital lives as well.
That's Oh, yeah, that's amazing. We do it with everything else. We do it with food, we do it with math facts, we do it with everything, driver's license, and this is another component where we're, like, preparing them to be confident and well prepared in life. So, thank you so much for joining me today, Michelle. This was amazing. Hackers Jack
Thank you.
courses are amazing. People should definitely check them out. My kids have enjoyed them. So, thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much, Sarah.
Thanks so much for listening to Beyond the Schoolhouse. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to like, subscribe, and share the podcast so more families can discover new possibilities for learning. And if you're ready to take the next step and start your own homeschool group or micro school, we'd love to help. Just head over to schoolmaking.com and fill out the form. We'll send you tools and guidance to get started. Until next time, remember, learning doesn't just happen in the classroom, it happens everywhere.